Hey, this is Abe.
And this is Alexa.
Welcome back to the Get Out and Enjoy Life podcast, or GOEL.
Today we're talking about our engagement story.
Yeah, so in our last podcast episode, we talked about how Alexa and I met and kind of our trials and tribulations through COVID and dating. Alexa had told me pretty early on that you wanted to get engaged like within like 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years, yeah. I think that's just because people around me, people that I knew had gotten engaged in that time if they were going to get married. But of course, I realized, as we're in our relationship and everything, people do it at their own time. They do it when it's right for them, and so that's what matters.
And it actually ended up kind of being around that time frame anyway.
Yeah.
For us, we had dated for 2 years, and then one of my things that I wanted before we even thought about getting engaged or got engaged was to live together for a year.
Yeah, that was Abe's kind of stipulation.
Yeah. You had your stipulations, I had mine.
Yeah, I think it was good for us because we could really learn each other's mannerisms, learn how we interact with each other when we're in this space where we live here.
You were living at the time in a house of your mom's.
And I was living there by myself, actually. Yeah. So I had a lot of space. I had a lot of things that I have had since childhood. So I really had to cut back on a lot of the stuff that I had.
Yeah, and then I was living in the apartment that we're in now. I had actually thought about, like, when I was getting this apartment, like, oh, we could move in here together. But, it was much easier for me, I think, than you because I was already occupying the space.
Yeah.
It was, I think, a good transition from going from my space to our space.
Yeah.
And you really helped with that, with having the touches of, like, hominess, and you brought in your stuff.
Yeah, like our bedspread, our bed frame, side tables, things like that. At one point we had pillows on this couch. So I tried to help make it our space. I put in my books under our like TV stand. So Abe has one side, I have one side. So that it could be both of our space.
Speaking on the bed frame, I was living a bachelor type lifestyle in terms of the apartment because we weren't living together yet, even though we were dating. But like Alexa always brings up my bed frame. Like it was it was literally just a bed frame. It was metal, like
literally just held the mattress and then had wheels underneath, so you could like move it around if you needed to.
And you could take the metal pieces apart for the frame so that it could be transported easily.
Yeah.
Which really helped when I was moving and stuff. But it wasn't very homey, and I didn't realize that after you like suggested we get this bed frame, and we got an IKEA bed frame, so it was like like I think like $300 or something like that.
Yeah, but it's nice because it has the extra storage underneath, and especially since I was moving in, bringing my things, it was just nice to store blankets under there and any kind of extras. I have like cords and things under there, so it was good to have that extra space.
Yeah, and then I had to get rid of some of my stuff as well and emptied out. We have a pretty big closet, actually, almost like I don't want to say walk-in, but
almost. Yeah.
You can walk into it like 2 feet.
Yeah.
But emptied out half of that, and it was I know one of the things that we kind of like was hard to decide on was our dishes, because you had your dishes, I had my dishes.
Yeah.
And like, which dishes do we keep? And
we ended up going with your dishes mainly, and then I brought like mugs and cups that I really still liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have lived together for a year, and
at that point we've now lived together longer.
Right.
Yeah.
So at that point, and then you're like talking about, oh, I want to get engaged to this year. By the end of December, you were saying.
Yeah, I basically told Abe, for this year, you can propose to me anytime between January 1st and December 31st. And Abe always jokes, he's like, before he actually had proposed, he was like, oh, well, I'm going to propose to you on December 31st.
Yeah, right.
Since that's the last day
so
of the year.
Had to have it be a surprise at,
Yeah, and I kept saying, I was like, I think it's going to be before that.
Yeah. Well, and also we had looked at rings, Like, because I had
the year before.
no clue, like, in terms of, like, what you wanted. And,
yeah.
like, if I were to go pick out a ring, it wouldn't have been what you wanted, for sure.
I still would have.
I know you would have liked it, but, like...
Yeah, I definitely had, like, a clear picture in my mind. I knew I wanted a cushion cut diamond. I knew I wanted the halo. And what I didn't know that I wanted that I was able to see when we went in the store was I really liked the pave diamond band. So little diamonds that go around just the side. And I really liked platinum or silver.
I don't think you actually picked platinum. I picked that metal because it was...
I knew I liked the color of it. Because,
you like the silver. You like the silver instead of gold.
I liked how it looked with the diamonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it was platinum, but like I liked the silver color just with the diamonds because the type of ring I was getting, I didn't care for how it looked in gold, but I thought it matched better for like my taste.
Right, and so the reason I picked platinum is because you have TSW, and
which is a skin condition I will get into in another episode.
Right, and so platinum is very like hypoallergenic metal, and so that's the reason I ended up going with it. But so we went and looked at through a couple of different stores. Alexa wanted a lab grown diamond, and interestingly enough, this is like in February of this year actually when I bought it. But a lot of jewelry stores don't sell lab diamonds. They have a small collection of them, but I think my personal opinion, kind of with talking with people, is that stores don't make a lot of money off of them because lab diamonds are almost like half the cost of like a earth diamond. Yeah. So I ended up going with James Allen, and they're great. It allowed you to build the ring, and
actually Abe had bought me lab diamond earrings that I'm wearing right now the year prior, I think.
Right, for Valentine's Day. Yeah. So one of the interesting things that I didn't know is like going through the whole process of, you just don't buy the ring. Like when you build the ring, you think, oh, like there's the band and that's the cost of the ring. No, it's like the band is a price and then the diamond's a price. And then... and
the diamond is the expensive piece, right? The center
sort
diamond.
I mean, it's the more expensive piece, but the band itself is like...
And the metal.
Yeah, I mean, the bands, depends on the type of metal you go with and like what type of band you go with, but like they range anywhere from like really like probably like $500 to like $2,000. So it really depends on the metal and everything you go with. But the other thing that I didn't know about was like the diamonds themselves can sell off before you like actually buy them. So like the bands are pretty, they have lots of bands and everything, but I had built the ring and then a week later I went to go buy it and the diamond was already sold. I was like, oh no. So, but I digress anyway. So we ended up getting engaged in Italy, which we actually didn't talk about on our Italy podcast.
Yeah, we
episodes.
Didn't. But yeah, it was magical and amazing, and Abe did it really early on in our trip so we could really enjoy our engagement. Yeah. You kind of had set sort of a precedent. You had told me what you wanted it in a beautiful place. You wanted to be dressed up. Yep. So those two things. Abe even asked me like, "What's my ideal proposal?" And that's what I could come up with. Beautiful place. I said maybe on a trip. Right. So I was trying to hint like do it in Italy. Yeah. So Alexa had wanted me to talk with her family. We're not traditional/traditional. I think we picked pieces of what we like. So I talked with her mom, her dad, and her brother, which I did that. It was kind of stressful, not just talking to them, but because I had planned to do it earlier on, like a month or two prior, but then my car broke down and I didn't have a car for like a month. Yeah. And I was trying to fix it, couldn't get the parts for it. Yeah. So... and then you got a car in the last like 2 weeks, or a week and a half before us leaving. I think I met with your dad like literally like 3 days before we left. I'm like, gosh, I hope he says yes. Yeah. Kind of thing, so... And Abe was acting really weird, like... And yeah, there was like kind of one day he wanted to kind of go out by himself and just do his own thing. Yeah. I was like, that's so strange because we spend so much time together. Well, it's hard because I couldn't figure out how to get away from you without, it makes sense. I had told you I'm going to go take macro photos, which I take
photos of bugs and stuff and insects.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, I really want to go take pictures of bugs because that's like relaxing for me, as weird as that sounds. And then I was like hoping like, oh, please don't ask me to show me the bug photos and everything I got, because I'm like, I don't have any.
Yeah.
And I met with your mom like, I think 2 days prior, and I called your brother, but
all those things really meant a lot to me. So yeah, it made me feel really good. It's very special for me that you did that. Yeah.
So I had planned like to propose early on in the trip, because one of the things was I wasn't nervous at the time until actually the proposal itself happened, but it was more of I didn't want to like hold on to this ring and then like to be like expectations, oh, like it's going to happen now, like type of thing. So I had planned it out like I think like 4 months in advance, and then pick the restaurant I think like a month in advance. But
yeah, I thought you were gonna actually propose, if you were gonna propose to me on this trip. I thought it was gonna be midway through the trip, and not so early on, because we had talked about doing date nights every week.
Right. I had kind of set that up.
Yeah.
Because I had to figure out how to get you to like, you know, not that you don't wear nice things, but
bring like
the
a extra special dress.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going to bring a white shirt and black pants.
That also was like a clue to me, because Abe was like, I need to bring a tie. And I'm like, Abe, when do you ever wear a tie except for like a special
and shorts guy?
Yeah. Except for a special event. I mean, you'd wear it then, but I was like, a tie.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that was a good prompt. And then the day of, it was like 3 days into our trip, August 5th.
It's kind of an interesting day. I woke up not in a good mood. I was feeling worn out. We had walked multiple miles per day.
We overdid it.
Well, like 10, 11 miles a day. And it was hot. I was kind of just over things at that point. And yeah, woke up on the wrong side of the bed, didn't talk too much in the morning, and then Abe was like, hey, I like made a reservation at this restaurant. It's going to be a surprise. Like, we'll get dressed up for it and everything. I was like, okay, cool. And then was kind of irritated during the day. But one thing that we did that day was we went to go see the catacombs of Rome, which actually was really interesting, like to learn the history of it.
Which is kind of morbid for the day,
It
but
is morbid. But how would I know that was happening?
No, she didn't know. I'm the one that planned it, so it's on me.
And it just happened that that's the day we chose.
It's just how it worked. No, I didn't plan it
like that.
It's just kind of how all the day, when we had time for it, is in short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we went to the catacombs. It was kind of like this weird day with the weather. It ended up raining quite a bit. We did, after the catacombs, go over to this neighborhood called Trastevere.
Yeah.
A lot of history there
too.
Yeah, a lot of history there, but a lot of restaurants and things. So we went to a cute little restaurant there.
Yeah, it was like kind of like I can't think of the word.
Kind of like a cabin style restaurant.
It's like all wood on the inside.
Yeah.
A Bavarian feel.
Yeah,
type
Bavarian.
Of thing. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. With signs and things like that on the wall.
And things hanging
decorative
as well.
Plates.
Yeah, the food was good.
Yeah.
And then we came back to the hostel, and you ended up taking a nap.
I was like, I need to close my eyes for an hour, because I still was not in a great mood.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I was still not in a great mood. It was like, are you sure you want to go to this restaurant? I was like, yes, I just need to like rest for a second.
I was saying that, I'm like, but
yeah, you were hoping
been planned a long time, so you got to get it together.
Yeah. So anyways, did that. Woke up, was in a better mood. I was like, let's go to this dinner. Let's get dressed. We got dressed up. I wore like kind of a white dress, which actually was perfect for the occasion.
Yeah.
Abe dressed up in his nice, like, shirt and pants and boots. And it was really exciting. And Abe was like, why don't we go early? Let's go to this park that I looked up that's near the Coliseum.
And at like this time, I was like actually starting to get nervous for whatever reason. There's always a chance that you could say no. Nothing is for sure.
I knew I was going to say yes.
Yeah, but There's always a chance.
Like,
so,
we've talked about it so much.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I need to meditate for like 5 to 10 minutes here before we go. So I did that, and then we left. And I had picked out like a place by the Coliseum a couple of weeks prior, like on Google Maps, and we were walking through the park, and it's like all dead grass. It's kind of a little overgrown. There's trash
everywhere.
There's homeless people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this is not the picturesque.
And we like
idea.
We walked there, and I was like, oh, is this the park?
I'm like, yeah, but no, we're gonna go try this other spot that I picked out. And so it was a fountain, but the fountain had been turned off, and it was dry, and I'm like, oh man,
wasn't looking too hot.
So then I was like, oh, there's this other spot. This is my last plan. We always have 3 plans, right? So walked over there, and it was more over by the Coliseum, and there was a bench there, and we sat down on the bench, and I was like getting ready to do it, but then these people started walking over and like everything, and then we got up for a minute, and they took the bench, and I was like, oh man.
And we were by these steps where you could see the Coliseum, but then Abe was kind of like, like, should we go here? Should we wait for them to leave? So we kind of waited. They never left. They just got on their phones and were like
just sitting there
on the phone. And then Abe's like, let's go down here, which was like closer to the Coliseum. You wanted to take a photo.
Well, I couldn't decide. Like, I was so nervous. And so I was asking Alexa, where should we go? And she doesn't know what we're doing, really.
Yeah, I know. Abe just kept telling me he wanted to take a photo. I mean, I was just thinking, like, okay, the photo's good here. Like,
but is it really, though? Is it really good here? Yeah, so we ended up getting into a little nook of kind of the trees and a little rock outcropping. And I was like, I'm going to take a photo. How do you turn around? And then how do you turn around?
And then Abe like grabbed my arm or my shoulder and then turned me around, and he got down on one knee, and then did the whole thing, said how much he loved me, and the proposal, and it was amazing. It was really intimate. It was like we were in this big park, but it felt like we were the only ones there. Yeah, because it was off to the side. Yeah, so that was really special for me. I really wanted an intimate proposal. I did not want other people around. I wanted it to just be us when he proposed. It's like interesting that you said that, because like so many people that I had talked to, like they're like, oh, hire a photographer for it. I'm like, I don't think that's what she wants. I mean, I would have been okay with that, but it was really special how it was. So like, I'm very happy with how it went. Yeah, and then we went and took some other photos. Actually, like a couple and their daughter had like walked right by us, and like right after I proposed, and they're like, "Will you take a picture of us?" And we're like, "We took a picture of them." We told them that we were engaged. All of it, we just got engaged. And they took photos of us. So it worked out really well. And then we walked around the Coliseum area. Yeah. Because it wasn't dinner time yet. No. We still had our dinner reservation. Right. Yeah, I'd booked this reservation like a month out, and it was called the Hotel Forum. Yeah. Yeah. It was like very much an old style hotel. The elevator was really tiny. It was like only fits 3 people, and I think you pull a curtain super almost small. Across. But we went up to the top floor of the hotel. Yeah. It was kind of like an open air restaurant. And you could see all the main sites of Rome. I mean, you could see the Colosseum on one side. You could see the Roman Forum. You could see this monument for the first king of Italy. It was just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the sun was setting. Yeah, I had booked that like specifically to make sure that the sun was setting. It was so amazing. And then we had like 4 waiters waiting on us because we were there right when they opened. I knew the restaurant was nice, but I didn't know it was like that nice. Yeah. Like there were like 3 forks and 2 spoons, and I'm like, I don't know which spoons or forks to use. We were asking the waiters, and they were like very chatty and very nice. Yeah. They asked us where we're from. Yeah. Like the first guy asked us where we're from. He wanted to know like more about us. But yeah, we had like I think a 3-course meal. Right. Yeah. Which was the food was so amazing. I think I got a pasta with prosciutto on it. And we were the first, like you said, the first ones there, and so like. We got to see everyone else arrive, which was kind of cool. We got the best seat in the house. Yeah, really. But then, like, kind of with the theme of the trip, like, I don't know if we talked about it in our previous episodes, being in Italy, but the bees were always bothering Alexa, like flying around her. I deemed Alexa the bee queen. Like, I thought it was like my hair product, but even when I changed my hair product, they still wanted to come around me. I don't know what it was. It's because you're the bee queen. No, I don't want to be. But yeah, during that whole dinner, it's a funny memory now, but there were these bees who just kept coming around me, flying on me, landing on my plate.
Yeah.
Like, and then we had one waiter who was hilarious, and he like took a nice napkin, and he was like, trying to like swat the bee the whole time. And then they were I heard the waiters like laughing because the bee just kept like coming around me. But I mean, other than that, it was beautiful. The proposal was beautiful. I couldn't have asked for anything better. It was very romantic that it was in Rome. And
then we had the rest of the trip to enjoy.
Yeah. So we could kind of relax and really enjoy.
Honestly, I slept like the best that night. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize how stressed I was. Like, I got in bed and I'm out.
You were literally knocked out.
Yeah.
I swear, 2 minutes, you were gone. Like, I was like, wow, he must have been really stressed.
Yeah, because I wasn't sleeping well the nights before.
You just were totally relaxed after that. Like, weight lifted off your shoulders.
I didn't even know about the planning of a wedding. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother like episode we'll talk about, but like,
a lot of things go into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we've been like looking at planning a wedding and looking at wedding bands and looking at venues and
there's a lot of details that go into this, and you have to plan it so far in advance. We're looking at a year out, a little bit less, about a year out. Like when we came back from our trip, we started looking right away, literally that week, and about a year out. But things are still getting booked, even into 2025, and so it's hard to find a venue that's gonna
fits the
budget, fits us,
and fits the
number of guests we're gonna have.
And we're not having a lot. That's it's like 45 people.
It is like a small, more intimate wedding, and so there's a lot of logistics. Do we get a wedding planner? Do we, what kind of DJ do we hire? Right. Do we do a florist? Like all these different things. We have a million books sitting by our TV, so we're able to look up, all these different things that we need to know about. Wedding insurance, which is something that I didn't even know about, permits and such. So a lot to think about.
So we'll talk about that in our upcoming episodes.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. I think we finally are a little bit de-stressed because I think we finally found our venue.
Yeah.
Which has helped me actually a lot with getting more excited.
Yeah. I think that's one of probably the hardest parts is making sure, you get a good venue. It's not, the price is right for you. And then also like you have to kind of go with whatever dates are available for that specific venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like on the man side, I never thought about a wedding really ever. I thought about proposals, but I mean like, get married and that's it. And then and then on the women's side,
I mean, I think probably not all women, but some women definitely think about the details of their wedding. If they like certain colors, because sometimes there's a theme or
like growing up.
Growing up. Yeah, I feel like it's almost like conditioned into us a little bit. Like, oh, your wedding dress.
I suppose.
Yeah, oh, you need to think about your wedding dress. You need to think about where it is. Like, what flowers are you going to have? What colors? Like, all these different things. So I had kind of thought about my wedding dress, what might look good on me. Like, maybe the suit of, the person I was going to marry or whatever. Like, but I never thought about, like, the event. I didn't think about the certain details, like the venue, for example.
Which is, like, the biggest part.
Yeah.
Literally.
I haven't...
Like, you secure that, and then everything else kind of, I think, falls into place. We haven't done it yet, so...
Right. I mean, I think it does take some of the, like, weight off our shoulders.
Foundation, literally.
Yeah. Like, you have to have that place. Yeah. And then once you have that date, then you can tell everybody, okay, you need to be here. Yeah. Or you find that places, don't have that date available, so you're like X them out, like they can't come. So anyways, I think as we got into our relationship and we approached having like getting engaged, I really started to think more about like what will our wedding look like. Like we're interested in like kind of a garden style wedding. We don't want to have to deal with a lot of florals and stuff like that, and I think that fits us really well. And I'm excited for all the little touches and details we get to put into our wedding.
So thank you again for joining us on Get Out and Enjoy Life podcast, GOEL.
We hope you get out and enjoy life in whatever way that means to you, whether it's traveling, getting to see a friend, calling somebody you haven't in a long time, planning a wedding. We hope you continue on this journey with us.
Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.